take 2 eggs or more. Yeah, like 2 eggs is enough. Anyway, you take an egg, you take some tortillas, you chop them up, mix them all up, you make migas. That's basically what it is. That's what this show's about. We start off with a couple of topics. By the time we ended up, all the way through, who knows where we end up. But the only thing I do know for sure is I have my brother here. My brother's here to guide us on this path, and that's Rolly Roll. We still haven't figured out what exact nicknames we're going to go with. You can call me Robbie, Rob, or Robert, and we can call him Roland or Rolly. But anyway, let's get this thing going. It has been so hot around the world, and that includes our neck of the woods. We've been hitting heat indexes of 100 to 107 heat index. What have you guys been seeing over there? Because you've moved to California, but you're now in a new location. And what is that like? And the temperatures that you're experiencing there?
So the heat index is just the actual temperature. And the past couple of days, the highs have been 110. And the difference from here and where you're at is usually when it's hitting that 110, the humidity is about 7%, 8%, 9%, so it's very dry. So you can actually hide in the shade and get a little relief, unlike back in South Texas where it will find you and take you out. So it's actually funny when it's this hot and the sun's out. I actually had somebody tell me they were surprised because they had stopped by here they were passing through here. And again, there's a military base here. And they went swimming and they were surprised at how fast they got cold when they got out. But that's because the water evaporates off their body, which is, what sweat does. And that's why in South Texas, since it's humid, you can't tell and you can't cool down because it's just so much moisture is in the air. But it's very dry. It's hot. That sun comes in through the window and it'll, if you leave something out in your car, it will melt. I've had people leave their phones in their car and they left it out, not in the shade in their car, but out. And
oh, wow.
It destroyed their phone. And just anything. You don't even think about leaving food, chocolate, or anything in your car because it will ruin.
Yeah, it'll be a mess. I know our heat indexes our heat index is nowhere close to your actual temperature, but there's just the humidity, depending on when it hits you, it hits you like a ton of bricks. I see all the news. Europe is getting devastated because they're experiencing, very, very hot temperatures that they're not used to. Basically the world is experiencing this. Like one of our favorite movies is Flash Gordon, and Hans Zorkoff picked definitely, he said that it was an attack of sorts that were coming. But this attack, unfortunately, depending on what you want to believe, we've kind of put this on ourselves. Water's going out of control. It's diminishing in some certain areas. I think near Nevada, there was like this big water, feature that, about 2-3 years ago, it was filled with water, and now all of a sudden it's totally getting evaporated. But then again, if you think about it, look at the Grand Canyon. If they've examined the walls of the Grand Canyon, and they said at one point or another that was eroded by water. Where did all that water go? There's some water, but over time, water ebb and flows. The glaciers will, melt and some drop in the sea and vice versa and all this kind of stuff. So, are we speeding up the process? Maybe. I don't know. It just depends. But staying cool is definitely something that everybody has to do. Europe, parts of New York, California, 1% of the people there actually have some kind of air conditioning. Now, air conditioning can be defined as, different systems. We use here in South Texas, we have HVAC systems, which are, big old units that are on the outside, and they generate, turn on, and we end up getting, some cold air blasted through our systems. You happen to be in a location that has something a little bit different because of where you're located in California. Can you explain a little bit about what devices you use to keep cool there?
So ACs, as you know, they take the humidity out of the air to make it drier for you. So here in the desert, we have swamp coolers, which actually pump humidity and stuff into the air to cool us down. But it's funny because they stop working like when they get close to 30% humidity. It doesn't work because it's already humid. So my house actually has 2 swamp coolers, one on one side of the house, one on the other, and then we have an HVAC also. So this house ended up having an AC also, which I haven't used. I don't know when or like, but there, it's funny, hearing people around here, which you do get acclimated when it's 25% humidity and they're complaining about how humid it is. And I'm like, try 90% humidity with 90-degree weather, and the heat index is 110, 115. And again, it's different over here because over there in South Texas, it's harder to realize that you're having a heat stroke, as to where here, like, you can feel, you're sweating, it's cooling your body down, but down in South Texas, it's not, again, because of, relative humidity, all this other stuff. But yeah, so, we can have a fan on and cool down. So here's the funny thing. So for you, if the AC's on, are any of the doors or windows open?
You mean outside doors?
No, yeah. So like,
no, we're not opening any doors or windows or anything of that nature. Yeah.
So for us, we have up vent, like the air intake vents. So that way the hot air can go somewhere. So it's actually sometimes like it's hot. It was hot in one of the rooms. And so the swamp cooler is on. I opened up the window and it was able to get cooler because it was pushing that hot air out.
Right.
As to where, so we have hoses hooked up into our swamp coolers to shoot water in there to create.
Wow. So it's a whole other mechanism compared to what Dad used to do to the house in Portland.
The dungeon.
You see, and the thing was that, he had Windows turbines, and that is something that I don't see as frequently anymore in houses, like, driving, you used to see those spinning all around, and he incorporated fans of sorts that you'd turn the switch on and help blow that stuff out so that it would, speed that process to keep it cool. I don't see that. And we brought that up, we went down the street looking at different roofs and stuff, and I didn't notice that. So it was kind of interesting how the technology is always changing a little bit. The mechanism of how to keep a home cool. Obviously, there's always kind of some reaction right now in South Texas. Here in Corpus Christi, we're going to face drought restrictions too, water restrictions, wave 2. So that means even less water usage. There's the weatherman kind of brought it up the other day, which I thought was interesting. He said we need to investigate why we don't have as much water in our reserve than we used to. And he brought up the fact that the amount of precipitation that we've had since January, that we should have 20% in our reserve. And we have less than that. And he said, that's a question that the city needs to bring up, is where did that water go? And so there's some kind of misuse of water or whatever the case may be. But I thought it was very interesting that he brought that up. And so that's kind of interesting. I don't know whether that's going to go anywhere or gain any traction, but
So it's funny. You're talking about where's the water going? And you were talking about Nevada and all this other stuff. Well, in California, if the lake beds are drying up, if the water reserves are drying up, that means that LA took over and they're taking their water. One of the biggest things down here is there's things that LA has taken over water, resources, and all the aqueduct is going to LA because that's where the main people are. And there's a lot of areas around here that, I mean, I remember when I was here 20 years ago, there were places around here that my family over here is telling me that, oh yeah, LA took over that and all the water's getting, sent over there. And now we have drought issues and all this other stuff. And, it's like how Corpus took over some of that land by, Portland and Gregory, LA just, we're more important. So we're taking the water.
Yeah.
And,
I guess everywhere has some kind of, where some big dog ends up kind of, stretching across boundaries that they never had access to. And now they want some resources that, they're trying to tap into some of that stuff as well, I guess.
So just to let you know, like here in California, that I don't know if it's just kind of local, but so I have a private well. I have well water. I have the city. So I don't pay for water. It's my well. One thing that they're trying to do is trying to charge you for your own well water. They're trying to pass something over here where you have to hook up a meter to your water. And
what kind of crap is that?
So it's just like if you look at some of the stuff California is doing about the solar, where they want the people who are using solar panels to pay more for the grid. And it's kind of, a lot of people are arguing about it, saying you're kind of like giving you're reversing the reason why people are getting solar is to save money, yet you want to tax them more to pay their fair share. So it's just like you think about, well, one thing I haven't looked into it, but they're talking about electricity use. I'm hearing they're telling you guys to keep your ACs at 80, which Dad has no problem doing. But
yeah.
But now with more and more electric cars coming out, it's like, how much does that, charging your cars?
Yeah. How much pull does it have on the grid? How much is that pulling, and then are they going to be restricted as far as you can't charge your car, only charge it at night and blah, blah, blah. And, to lessen the load on the, on the grid. That does sound like an interesting point. Yeah. In Texas, the grid is, they always say it's holding up, but it's like struggling, to keep, they want us to drop or raise our temperatures to temperatures that usually, a lot of people don't. Dad is old school, so he kind of runs it, a lot warmer than we're used to. We run it a little bit cooler, and if I don't know. If you can afford, I mean, I don't run it as like the way some other people do. They run them in the 60s and stuff like that. And then they're like cooling, they're freezing their systems and all kinds of stuff. And they're needing some maintenance of that to get hardcore back on, back their equipment back up and running again. But yeah, that does, it starts to impose on you and what you want to run your temperature at and how much water, what's your water. And, they're trying to make you share. It's just like when somebody has a windmill, or in some cases, power, solar panels and all that power that's I guess you got a resource of some power for a short amount of time. I don't know if they still do it, but you were not allowed to do that. You had to sell it back to the electric company in some shape or form here in Texas. I don't know if they still do that, but I remember for a time there that if you had an excess amount, you had to sell it. You couldn't keep it, but you had to sell it back, and then you would you can actually be part of a co-op or something like that. So that it does pose an interesting thing about what is yours, what becomes the people's, and how you end up sharing that across abroad. Quick question. Maybe it's just a left turn, so to speak, but pizza. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but what's the last pizza that you've had? Is it homemade? Usually you guys make your own pizzas, right? Or
Yeah, I posted it the other day.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. That was that inspired by something you saw, or is it just something that, like the way Dad used to say, were a creation, or what was it? Is just something you guys were in the mood for?
It's a staple. We do homemade pizza a lot, and just try different things. So a long time ago, almost 20 years ago, when I was stationed with one of my friends, Seda Jorge. He's from Puerto Rico. He was telling me about chorizo on a pizza, but I think the way they did it was because you can actually buy chorizo like cooked like in a sausage form.
Right.
So I think I never like delved into it. I just it always intrigued me. So one time a couple years ago, we were like, well, we put toppings on. We'll sometimes put sausage or something like that. So why don't we just cook up some chorizo and put that as a topping? So usually for our family, we make about 4 or 5 pizzas, and the regular pepperoni, put some mozzarella, some Munster cheese. We just go wild. Not too long ago, my father-in-law, for his birthday, I think his parents gave, or his mom had given him a one of those outside propane, stone pizza ovens.
Yeah.
And so we would, they'd never made pizza before. So they asked us to come over and show them. But we ended up using a sourdough. They have sourdough starter. So we make our own, and it's all, we don't buy all pre-made dough,
Right.
the
Dough. Yeah.
Not even not even the sauce anymore. We make season the tomato sauce, and
So it's all from scratch, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from we're not boiling down the tomatoes or anything like that. But yeah, it's
so real quick on the chorizo. You had said that that your friends, that there was a pre kind of cooked version. You went ahead and cooked your own chorizo though.
Right. So we didn't make it in sausage, like the sausage.
It's in a link. Yeah, it's a sausage.
Yeah, we didn't do that. We did it like we would make chorizo and egg.
Yeah,
so we
chop it all up and all
up.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, fried it up. And
what everybody doesn't understand is when you ask for chorizo, you're going to get a plethora of different versions. If you go to Spain, they're like already in sausage form, salchusa, chorizo forms or something like that, in either cook or pre-cooked or some kind of dried out form. The version that we're talking about, it's encased in some kind of skin or casing, and it's in a raw form, so that you squeeze it out or you cut it open and you put it in the pan and you cook that. And for us, it was a staple as far as a breakfast type of mixture with egg. And so we made a chorizo and egg, and then we'd put those either in tacos or you just eat it by itself or whatever the case may be. So what my brother did is that he took that version and incorporated it into so you cook the pieces and you sprinkle it around like you would do like meat and stuff like that. Yep. So tell me real quick. So it's a sourdough based bread, and then you have a mixture of cheeses, Munster, right, possibly mozzarella.
We do the sourdough every once in a while. So usually the pizza night sometimes is a last minute thing. And for sourdough, you have to prep it. So a lot of times when we make it with my in-laws, we prep it. But for us, sometimes Jess will take the wheat berries and make the flour, and we'll just do regular dough. But yeah, so, we get all the stuff out. We chop up some mushrooms, peppers. She always has a bag of pepperoni for either snacking or for pizzas. And yeah, so each pizza is different, for whatever the kids like. And yeah, recently, we had some chorizo in the fridge. So she just cooked that up in the pan and had it cooked and sprinkled it on.
Very cool.
And it's just
on the Migas Facebook page. We're going to share that picture along with this when this episode is available. We'll share that picture and stuff so like that. And if you want the recipe, my brother will give you that recipe. So it's a very interesting thing. It caught my eye. I thought I'd bring up pizza. Usually, back in the day, I remember making homemade pizzas, but the most infamous pizza that I want to say by far, and we're not going to dig any deeper than that, my bro, but all I'm going to say is the most infamous pizza that we ended up getting, and it became the dragon, chasing the dragon, so to speak, was the Chicago Pizza Company. And a friend of mine who hopefully we'll be able to have as a guest in August. And if he wants to explain, he can explain. But anyway, in August, hopefully he'll appear on the show. But our friend introduced us to the Chicago Pizza Company, which was in Hamlin Shopping Center back in the day in Corpus Christi, Texas. And they are the only, and I think I might have had that version of pizza maybe one time other, and that was in Houston at Uno Pizzeria. And you probably had it more so a different, maybe you've had, an actual Chicago deep dish. There's so many people that like to call it a Chicago deep dish, and it is not a Chicago true deep dish. It's more of like an inflated crust that like some kind of weird, I don't know. It's not a Chicago pizza.
Because it's supposed to be reverse.
Right.
Like, how
and
do
it's
you
a pie.
do it? Yeah.
And it is a pie, and the crust is done a very specific way. So I remember getting this pizza, and what did I tell you that they told us that you could only eat how many pieces? They didn't think anybody could eat more than 2 pieces because of how thick they were. And so that became somewhat of a challenge. Thing is, it takes 30 minutes to make these pizzas. We lived in Portland, so you had to cross a bridge. And then so you would even tack on like 15 minutes time. So by the time we got there was still another 15 minutes for that pizza to cook. Those pizzas were still hot. We drove them all the way back to Portland, and then we would eat them and share them and stuff like that. I remember bringing that pizza home, and my brothers, or at least Roland, was there to partake in one of these pizzas. But that was the first Chicago deep dish style pizza. And from that point on, I've always wanted that pizza. Now, the House of Rock has posted pictures saying that they do a deep dish style Chicago pizza. Now, I'm leery about it. I still need to go try it out. And then there's another place that popped up. I can't remember the name. And they say they also do a deep dish style pizza in the same vein that I remember seeing. But I don't know. I've had pizzas that claimed that they were a Chicago deep dish, but nothing ever came close. I think we even went when we were in Chicago. Actually going to Chicago, I don't know if you went with us to the hotel and we tried to order a pizza. Well, you couldn't go off site, right? Or you
could?
No.
We did go to the hotel because I played the Masters of Terracassi.
And we tried to get one of those pizzas, and it was not a deep dish style pizza. Yeah, they called it some kind of deep dish pizza, but it wasn't. And so that was a big disappointment, because I thought that was going to be the way that I was going to actually have some actual Chicago deep dish pizza. But anyway, if you guys...
I thought you were talking about the Velveeta incident with Randy, like when we made those.
Oh, that's a whole other different...
Those personal...
With bread? Is that what? Yeah, with toast, right? Okay. Well, those are the infamous
and Velveeta
home economic style pizzas. That's what that was. The infamous, you get a piece of toast, ragu or ketchup, and then you put a piece of sliced
Velveeta,
some kind of Velveeta or sliced American cheese or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
You insert whatever you can, and then on top you either are pulling in ham or bologna or... He does not eat bologna. Anyway, so those are the infamous home ec pizzas. That's the first time you end up making a pizza in school, and you come home like, Mom, I know how to make a pizza, and it tastes like garbage. But anyway, it's a pizza on the spot when you need a pizza. I mean, there's, everybody has one, but you know what? If you have your version of pizza, leave it in the comments on our Migas Facebook page, and I want to see what you've created or what you consider your favorite pizza, because that way we can go ahead and maybe we'll try it, and then we'll on another episode we'll talk about some of these different pizzas that you guys like and stuff, and then yeah, show us what your pizza is in your neck of the woods and what you like, or one of the weirdest pizzas that you've ever come across of. One of the pizzas that before we go to a different subject, was we were making a music video for Jimmy Wilden, downtown Corpus Christi, and we were in a restaurant, Urban Fare Cafe, and they had Indian food and sandwiches and all this kind of stuff, and they would also make pizzas. So the guys there, when they were working, we were, working pretty hard making this video. They, as a director, they said, "Hey, is there something that you guys want? We can make you guys something." I said, "You know what? Can you get butter chicken and put it on a pizza, and this butter chicken sauce will be the sauce instead of like marinara?" And they just looked at me and they said, and I go, "And then you could sprinkle some other cheese on that." And so they made that pizza, and oh my God, that was the first time that we've ever had butter chicken pizza. We would type searches and nothing would pop up butter chicken pizza. Type it in now. All kind of places now have a butter chicken pizza that looked very similar to what we had tried, or what we came up with that afternoon.
So there's a chain over here, Pizza Factory. I don't know how far it reaches, but they have a pastrami pizza, as pastrami, pickles, and mustard as the sauce. And I've had it, and I was surprised. Very, very good. And we make it now when we go to my in-laws.
And you do the mustard as a base or sauce.
So yeah, so the first time we made it, we didn't know that they didn't use tomato sauce. They just did the mustard. It was good still.
Right.
So we did
it's got that tangy. It's got that tangy kind of flavor,
and it had pickles. Yeah, like relish type.
Okay. Speaking of pickles, Panjo's has a pickle pizza. I had never, when I heard about it, I just kind of did a double take. I'm like, what? I go, "Do you do a pickle pizza?" And they go, "Yeah, we put pickles all over the pizza." And, I don't even think it's a red sauce. They put some other kind of base. I don't know what it is offhand, but if you're ever in Corpus Christi and you go to Panjo's, the one pizza, if I was to pick one, try the pickle pizza from Panjo's Pizza in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I'm pretty sure that there are other, pizzerias out there across the United States that have their own version of pickle pizza. If you end up eating one of these pizzas, send me a picture of it. I want to see what it's like, and I want to compare it to what I had over here in Corpus Christi. I thought it was by far a very unique tasting pizza, having that different kind of after having pepperoni and stuff like that, or some kind of, you can only have that so much, and then the cheeses and whatever they are, you can always have something different about that. But it's just something about those combinations. I find that I end up putting green olives on pizzas if they have green olives available. I like that combination with pepperoni. That was a suggestion from a friend that was visiting from a film festival from California. He said, "Hey, have you ever tried green olives on a pizza?" And I would just looked at him saying, "You know what?" And all the group, we just all came into agreement. You know what? We're going to try a green olive pepperoni pizza. And it was a awesome combination and stuff like that. So I thought that was great.
Just to finish it off then, in the last time that we've talked, Colorado Avalanche.
Yes. Yeah. Stanley Cup champions. Got to see Joe Sakic hold up the cup again, which, you never know if you're going to see a player that you used to watch and stuff like that in the executive side get to do that again. And the Avalanche did it in grand fashion. Yeah, there was some controversy, but why not, make it exciting and stuff like that. They had a glorious run there. I mean, dude, you got to see the Blackhawks win so many more championships. Yeah. Than some teams ever get a chance.
And they hadn't won since 1961, and I became a fan in '90. And it's like so, and it took 20 years.
Right.
I think 90 to like 2010. I think was so it took.
We
I
got
was a
to see
fan.
we got to see a lot of. If think about it, we got to see a lot of historic achievements. We got to see the Rangers bust the curse and actually win. We got to see Chicago. They ended up winning. The Devils, we got to see them, and then the rise of the Detroit Red Wings all over again. We got to see that, and of course the infamous monkey off their back. We got to see the L.A. Kings win Stanley Cups, and then now we've got these. Yeah, now we got these.
Time also.
Yeah, now we got these new teams that the Golden Knights and stuff like that, and still Toronto still can't win a Stanley Cup. But anyway, Elo. But maybe they'll get their stuff together and they'll. I mean, they got pretty close, I guess, in playoff form, but they just couldn't get over the hump.
Well, they made the playoffs, so
that's pretty close. But but that's all it takes sometimes. I mean, it just takes that little hump. Let's just mention it in this episode because we're almost out. Sweeps. Let's see what happens now. Everybody likes to say, the New York and all this kind of stuff. The Astros continue to are going above and beyond, and that's if they can just keep doing what they're doing, and they got a solid pitching staff, for them to quiet the bats of the mighty Yankees, that's a lot. Since last year and even times before, they seem to have they got the Yankees number, and but you never know. You got to play every game. Every game has to be played. So who knows if they keep doing what they're doing? I think it's going to be very interesting come playoff time. Judge and the Yankees are definitely trying to make a statement, but you know what? I don't care if you make any of those records. If you're not holding the grand ring and the trophy, it was all for nothing. So they're going to have to face the Astros, and let's see what ends up happening in the playoff time. But I think it's awesome to see some shutout play, and on the flip side, I'm seeing some like crazy lopsided victories.
Toronto and the Red Sox.
Yeah, I think the Red Sox need to retire. They're done. I think they had like 3 games that were like totally massive blowouts, and it's embarrassing.
In the past 3 games, they've been outscored 53-8, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like Baseball Simulator when I first started playing against you guys.
Yeah, I
football scores, man.
I started thinking about that as like, man, these guys are back in the home run race and could give Judge a run for the money this last couple of blowouts and stuff like that. So it's very interesting how it's going. Baseball is exciting and stuff like that, and there's still a lot to go. I mean, there's still a lot of a lot of games to play and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff for Yankee fans and Astro fans to look forward to. I don't even give a crap what's going on the other side. They can't even win the All-Star game, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, we're going to end this episode on a thing. Do you want to say anything else before we wrap up this episode?
No, go Astros.
There you go.